You keep pouring it from one way to the other, changing the straw. And now to sing this lovely ballad.
Good morning vlog. So this morning I went to the gym with Liv, and then I went to lunch. There was tomato soup. I was hype. And now I am studying chemistry. I have a chemistry quiz today and then an MCB lecture, and then I'm done for the week. This week I want to do my laundry today and organize the room, and also I think I'm going to discuss some rushing tips for rushing a sorority, so that should be later today. I thought it'd be very helpful, and then someone asked for it in the comments, so I thought it would be a nice video to make. So that's the basic outline for today. Liv has philanthropy today, so she is going to be gone for a while today, I believe. And then I don't know what we're doing for dinner yet. Probably just eating here because there's tomato soup at dinner as well. But I don't know yet. We'll see where the day takes us, but right now that's the plan for today. I'm going to go to class soon, so I'm going to try to understand as much chemistry as I can before that time.
Shining bright.
Hello vlog, I am now home. I think I'm going to talk about rushing. And we are back sitting in front of the microwave and the refrigerator. Okay, so sorority rush. I kind of block rush out of my brain because, not that it was traumatic, but it was a lot of stress compacted into a very short period of time. So I rushed to the University of Illinois, obviously, an Irish DG, and I love it. I love being in a sorority. It's so fun, and you get to make friends right away, and everyone's super pretty and really nice. And yeah, I love being in it. I think it's totally worth it to go rush a sorority. But I know a lot of people did have a lot of trouble with it, but I'll give some tips and tricks. So the way rush works at the University of Illinois, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but I'm pretty sure this is how I remember it working. So for us, we had open house for 2 days, which open house, you basically go to all the sorority houses, and then you kind of walk through and you talk to someone in the sorority, and they just kind of ask you questions about yourself, general things. And for the U of I, it's 19 houses, I think, so we got to see a lot of houses on those first 2 days. Then there's first invite, so up to a certain number of houses. I think it's 12 or 13 or something. Maybe it's 16. I don't know. A specific number of houses will invite you back, and you'll basically do the same thing, go back to the sorority, kind of introduce yourself, like talk to them. And then there's second invite, where they talk about philanthropy, I think. Then there's third invite, which is the last one. I don't know if I'm saying all this right, but basically there's 3 invites, and then every time you go back to the houses, you pref which houses you want to go back to. So you'll first put the top houses that you want to come back to, and then lower on the list you'll put houses that you didn't really click with that well, or that you didn't like that much. So that's basically how it works. And certain houses might not invite you back, which kind of stinks if you like them, but you always end up really where you're supposed to be. Everyone I've met who rushed really ended up clicking really well with their sorority, even if they weren't too sure about it to go in with. So basically some tips for rushing. So for open house, you're just kind of introducing yourself and talking about yourself. And everyone talks about the 3 B's, but I think there's 4. So there's 3 B's that you're technically not supposed to talk about, which I didn't know about, but I didn't end up talking about anyway because they're kind of weird topics to talk about. So it's booze, boys, and bank accounts, I think. And then someone else told me Bible. So the first one, you don't really want to talk about going out and going to parties. It's kind of a weird topic to talk about with someone that you're rushing with. I don't know, it's kind of weird to be like, oh, I want to be in the sorority so I can go out and party. That's not really how you want to introduce yourself and get someone to know you. So the second one is boys. So you're rushing so that someone can learn about you and a house can learn about you, and they don't want to hear about your boyfriend of 4 years. Obviously, if the person who's rushing you, so the person you're having a conversation with in the sorority is like, oh, you have a boyfriend, you're not going to just kind of awkwardly avoid the question, but you just don't want to kind of lead with, oh, I've been in this relationship for 5 years. It's not really so much about you as it is about your relationship, you know? So the third one is bank accounts. So obviously rushing has a big money component because rushing is very expensive and being in a sorority is very expensive, but you don't want to talk about how much money you have or anything like that. That's kind of a weird thing to talk about. And then the fourth one, Bibles. Religion isn't something you really want to lead with. It's awesome if you're really into your faith, that's super cool, but not something you really want to talk about while you're rushing. It kind of makes people uncomfortable. So those are the 4 B's that I've heard about. And then when you're rushing, it's really important to be able to hold a conversation pretty well. So I'm a pretty social person in general. I think I can hold a conversation pretty well. And then the girl who's rushing you at each house will be pretty conversational. They'll ask you questions about your summer, about where you went to high school, stuff like that. And it's nice to kind of have, like, I had kind of a repertoire of things that I did over the summer that I could just talk about pretty easily. So kind of having an idea of like what you want to talk about. Like over my summer, I know I ran a marathon and I climbed a mountain, so those were two pretty easy topics to just kind of be like, oh, I did this over the summer, or know what sports you did in high school, or stuff like that. Just kind of basic questions that they're going to talk to you about when you're rushing. Another tip I have is to dress comfortably. So first, I think open house and first invite, you wear just a t-shirt that they gave you that it says like Pan Hell on it or something like that, or like rushing 2016 or whatever year you're rushing. And then a lot of girls will wear jean shorts or a skirt or something. I just wear jean shorts with it or jeans. But if it's hot outside, don't obviously wear jeans because it gets really hot running around to every house. But a big thing that I would really suggest is wearing comfortable shoes. I know a lot of girls wore uncomfortable flats or they wore heels. You can wear heels for later invites. I know I did for the last invite, which was prep round, so it was kind of fancier. But I would really suggest wearing comfortable shoes for most of the invites and then bringing a pair of comfortable shoes to slip on in between rushing, because you're like running around. Like I remember I had one house that was all the way in Champaign, which is on the opposite side of campus, and then one that was way deep in Urbana, and I had to run from this house that was 25 minutes away from the other one. We had 10 or 15 minutes between houses, so you're gonna be running around everywhere. It's important to have comfortable shoes on. I know some girls brought bikes, which I thought was kind of crazy, then some girls were Ubering from house to house, but being comfortable is really important. Oh, go into rush with an open mind. I know when I started rushing, there's this thing called Greek Rank. It's online, it's for every school in America basically, and it kind of like ranks. It's basically these people go online and then rank sororities based on a bunch of things, and it's kind of silly, and I didn't hear about that until after rush, thank goodness. But a lot of girls went onto this website and then kind of learned things about sororities, or they kind of went in with a preconception about what sorority they wanted to be in, or if they wanted to be in the same house as their friend. I personally wouldn't recommend picking what sorority you want to be in before you even start rushing or thinking about a certain sorority or wanting to rush with your friend. I think that rushing is supposed to be a personal process. It's kind of like if you don't click with the house that your best friend clicks with, then I mean that's not the end of the world. Like you're still gonna hang out with your best friend and be friends, but I think that it's important to pick what house you be in, not based on their ranking or what house your friends in. It's really based on who you like in the house, and if you click with people, and if you think that you could see yourself there. Like we were given notebooks with every house in it, and there was a little section where you could kind of write notes down after you rush. So I'd write down, talk to Katie, I really liked this house, or I didn't click with this house that well. Or I'd write down like what color shirts they were wearing, which really helped differentiate them. So it's helpful to kind of basically write down everything you think about the house right after, so it's kind of fresh in your mind. Especially here at the University of Illinois, because Greek life is so big, there's so many houses, and it's hard to kind of remember or separate the houses in your head. I guess this is another tip. Write down your opinion, or basically how you feel about each house right after you're there. So it might be in a note on your phone. Just right when you leave, write down what you think of the house and who you talk to, and if you could see yourself there, just so it's fresh in your mind. Because I remember sometimes I'd be prepping houses and writing down which houses I liked, and then I'd forget my opinion of some of them if I didn't write them down. So I think it's really helpful to write down what you think of each house right after you get out of it, so you kind of remember how you feel about it. Talk to your family. Sometimes it helps if you're a legacy or something. I really don't know that much about rushing, but if you're a legacy, that means I think you have someone older than you in your family who rushed before you, so like an older sister or a mom or your grandma, who, if they were in a certain sorority, then you're a legacy for that sorority. So you can, I think you can write that down when you're rushing or something, when you're applying to rush. Oh, good tip. Don't take it personally when houses don't invite you back. I take everything purposefully. I take everything personally, and it's really not good when you're rushing, because you might not get invited back to a house that you really liked. And I could like go to a house and be like, oh my gosh, I really clicked with Sally and I really liked her and we had a really great conversation, but I didn't get invited back to her house. That really sucks, like they must hate me. If you're not invited back to a house, then that stinks, especially if you really liked them. But also I try to think about it as maybe they liked me too, but they just didn't have enough room for inviting me back that day or something like that. Just, you can't take it personally when houses don't invite you back, because it's gonna happen. You're not gonna get invited back to every single house you want, but it's just really great, again, to keep an open mind about rushing, because you're gonna end up where you're meant to be. It all ends up okay. Plan your outfits with your friends beforehand. So me and Liv and Kristen across the hall had our door open for like hours on end before rushing, because Kristen kind of knew a little bit more about what to wear for rushing. So kind of ask your friends what they're wearing. I know I wore the t-shirt that we were given and shorts, and then that t-shirt and jeans. And then second invite, I think I wore like a more casual dress, a sundress, and then some flats. And then prep round, I wore a nicer dress and heels. So it helps to kind of talk to your friends about what they're wearing and figure out what to wear for rush. Oh, prepare yourself to be yelled at. So the first house that I went to for open invite, I was not ready for them to be singing and screaming, and I jumped 3 feet in my chair, because I think the house that I was at, they were hiding in a closet when they started singing, and I was so freaked out because I didn't expect them to start singing immediately. So everyone who's rushing, you will do chants and stuff, and they'll be singing all the time, and it's pretty hard to hear the person that you're talking to within the house. So kind of prepare yourself, drink lots of water, be prepared to lose your voice, because talking to the person that you're talking to in the house is kind of hard because it's really, really loud. But be prepared to be yelling back and forth conversations and saying at very loud. It's really loud. Oh, so this is something that Kristen told me across the hall for prep round. So prep round is basically the last round of rush, and you only go to 2 houses, and you pick which one you want to go back, which one you ultimately want to be in. So prep round, you should be telling the sorority that you like the most. I want to be in this house. I really like it here. I'm so excited that I got invited back, which is what I did with DG. I was like, I really am very excited that I'm here. I really hope that I can be in your house. Obviously you don't want to be like crazy, like oh, I don't know. Just don't be crazy about it, but also tell them that you want to be in their house and that you really like their house. Also, at the same time, don't talk badly about other houses. That's just weird. Like, if you're coming from another house, like, I just came from Sigma Apple Pie and I really didn't like them and blah blah blah. Don't talk badly about other houses. That's weird. Don't do that. Especially during rush. And especially all the time. Just don't do that. It's not nice. Like, I remember I was in DG, which is what I rushed, obviously, and there was a girl who was, sometimes you're in a rush group, so you'll have one person in the house who you're talking to, and then you might be paired with another person who's also rushing, so it'll be 2 people who are rushing, so those will be PNMs. It's called as potential new member, I think is what it stands for, and then one person who's in the house, so like an in-houser. So I remember I was with another girl, and we were talking, and she was talking about the sunroom of DG, like while we were in the house, and she was like, oh, it's really dated, I don't really like it, it's not very nice. I was like, this is kind of weird, like you're in their house and you're talking about it like that. But I just wouldn't recommend saying anything badly about any of their houses, especially not the house you're in at the time. Just kind of maintaining a positive attitude all the time, which I know is difficult, but just be positive, be nice, don't be a jerk. I don't know, common knowledge, I feel like. Oh, so sororities can't, as far as I know, sororities can't give you things. Like, at one house they gave us a word that they thought described us, and you can't like keep it, so don't try to take anything that the sorority gives you while you're rushing, like a flower or anything like that. Like, you can't keep it, so you have to give it back before you leave. I almost left with something, and I remember I felt really awkward like going back in to give it back, so just don't take it with you. Oh, also get to your houses on time. So sometimes it's really hard because you might have a house that's all the way across the way from the other one, but you have to line up in alphabetical order outside of every house, and it's really awkward when you're late and then everyone signed up already, and then you have to go in the back and you're not a Z and you're an H. It's awkward. So just try to get to every house on time so that you're there for attendance on time. So our people who, okay, so there's girls in houses who don't rush people, but they kind of lead their rush groups around, if that makes sense. For us, they're called gamakais, and some of the gamakais are pretty aggressive with getting there on time, and they can be kind of angry if you're not there on time, so just try to get there on time so that they don't yell at you. Yeah. Best tip, just be yourself. I think that it's silly if you're trying to act like someone else, especially while you're rushing, because you want a house to like you for you, and you want to be in the house that represents you best. So really just be yourself, be bubbly, be kind. Actually, if you're not bubbly, then don't be bubbly, but just be as social as you can. Try to hold a good conversation, and yeah, be nice. That's all I got for now. If I think of anything else, then I'll include it somewhere else. But yeah, have fun rushing. Rushing is fun. If you don't end up liking it, that's cool. But I love being in the sorority. Everything turned out great, so yeah. Hello vlog, I am now off to dinner downtown with my friend Molly.
Baby, dream a little dream of me. Da 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 da.
Hello vlog, I am now home from dinner with Molly, and tonight, for the rest of the night, I'm just gonna do some laundry, some homework, and finish up cleaning the room. So I think I'm gonna end the vlog here. Hope you had a lovely day.